Hello, and welcome to Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. One night in Winter Park, Florida, a couple is drinking in their house. The two are involved in a very toxic relationship, and as we all know, when alcohol is involved, things can very quickly go from a fun evening to an absolute nightmare. And that's what happened here. The night started with both people alive and well, but by morning, one of them would be dead. And then later on, we would find out the entire event had been captured on video. The trial on this case began just days ago. It was delayed because of Hurricane Milton, but it has now begun. And it didn't take long for it to come to an end. I planned to bring you up to speed as to where the story stands, but literally an hour before I went to film this story, a verdict came in. This is the story of the murder of Jorge Torres and the case against Sarah Boone, the Suitcase Killer. I'm your host, Stacy Lee. Let's begin. Sarah Boone was born in 1981 and raised in a seemingly ordinary environment. As she grew older, she faced various challenges, including personal struggles and lots of tumultuous relationships. From everything that I have read about Sarah Boone, it would be my totally uneducated guess that she has some sort of mental disorder. I am not a mental health professional, but I do study people all day, every day. In the true crime community, we see a lot of people who end up doing terrible things, and we find out that their past is littered with collateral damage, people that they have hurt along the way. These tend to be people with kind of histrionic personalities, people that use and abuse the people in their lives. That is definitely the vibe I get from Sarah Boone. She was not an easy person to get along with. You will see this very clearly later on in the video. I believe she's on her 9th attorney. The attorneys keep quitting, saying that Sarah is absolutely impossible to work with. She will not assist in her own defense. She thwarts them at every turn. She refuses to meet with them. She's just a very difficult person. When Sarah was 42 years old, she began dating this man, Jorge Torres. Boone and Torres's relationship was characterized by a series of ups and downs, and that's putting it mildly. Friends and family described the couple as passionate but volatile. They often argued, and there were indications of substance abuse issues, particularly on Jorge's part. I also think that's putting it quite mildly. He is a very heavy drinker, and he has been arrested multiple times for instances of domestic violence against Sarah. Sarah was also arrested once for violence towards Jorge. So again, it was a give and take as far as giving the abuse and the toxicity. Jorge was arrested 4 times in 2019 alone. 4 times for domestic violence against Sarah. And this, again, you've heard me go on these rants. Why are you allowed to be arrested 4 times in 1 year for domestic violence? Why aren't you doing prison time? This was an ongoing issue. And yes, I'm surprised and upset that he wasn't jailed for longer by the 2nd or 3rd or 4th arrest. But we know this is very often the case with domestic violence stories. The offender doesn't get enough jail time and the abuse goes on and on. This was just a toxic, unhealthy relationship all the way around, with both partners drinking too much and being violent with each other. So now we've come to the night of the incident. It's February 24th, 2020. Sarah and Jorge had been drinking very heavily that evening. They got into an argument, as per usual, and were fighting for hours while drinking. For some reason, unknown reason, Sarah claims that she and Jorge were playing a game. Now, this has never been made very clear in any of the interviews that I've watched, in any of the stories I've watched about this. I don't know what kind of a game involves this sort of behavior. But Jorge allowed Sarah to zip him up inside a suitcase. Now, I'm trying to picture this in my mind, how this happens. I read reports that said Sarah placed Jorge inside the suitcase. Placed him how? This is a skinny little guy, but he is a man. The smallest men are still stronger than women. Sarah didn't pick this man up and ball him up and put him in a suitcase. He had to have agreed to get in the suitcase at some point. Sarah zipped up the suitcase and then she took out her cell phone and started recording. I am not going to play you the audio of this video because this platform won't allow it. I've had so many videos demonetized lately, and they are videos that I have seen on other channels. I've seen far worse here. I don't know what's going on. It is such a crapshoot. You never, ever, ever know what is going to be allowed and what isn't. So I'm not going to play the audio. I'm holding in a rant, as you can tell. I'm very, very frustrated lately. But watch these clips and I will tell you what's taking place. Jorge is inside the suitcase saying Sarah over and over. He says, Sarah, Sarah, Sarah. She's not answering at all as he continues to say her name. Then he says, Sarah, I can't breathe. And she replies, that's how I feel when you choke me. He continues to say her name like 20 times at least. And Sarah then says to him, that's my name, don't wear it out, because apparently she's 7. And then Jorge again tells Sarah that he can't breathe and she needs to let him out. Sarah then tells Jorge to F off several times and he continues to plead with her to let him out of the suitcase. Now, I have a lot of questions. First off, this does not look like an expensive suitcase. It's one of those heavy canvas suitcases you can get at Kohl's or Amazon. The zippers on these types of suitcases are strong, but no zipper is that strong. Now, I'm not saying I'm 100% convinced I could get out of a zipped cloth suitcase, and I ain't getting in one to test it. But I have a hard time wrapping my brain around the concept that if you were in this suitcase, even if you were balled up, that you couldn't produce enough energy by kicking your legs out as far as you could in order to stretch the suitcase over time. And I feel like eventually the zipper would weaken and break. Now, again, I'm not getting into a suitcase for hours to try and prove my theory, but I do have a hard time thinking you couldn't somehow get this zipper to break. I mean, a zipper is not that strong. Now, Jorge was drunk, and we all know being drunk can really impair your judgment, but it can also give you more strength sometimes if you're drunk and angry. Maybe he was so balled up in there was no way for him to get any sort of momentum up, to push his legs out one way or the other. Sarah claims that she wanted Jorge to know what it felt like to not be able to breathe because he would choke her. When they would get in these violent altercations, Jorge would often choke Sarah. And she said, well, I just wanted him to know what it felt like. But then she would also later say that they were just playing a game. Being locked in a suitcase does not sound like a fun game to me in any way, shape, or form. Either way, whether it was a game or whether Sarah was angry, she claims that she went upstairs and that she fell asleep with Jorge locked in the suitcase. Sarah would later say she didn't mean to fall asleep, but she did. So Jorge is downstairs, locked in the suitcase. Sarah goes upstairs, says she laid down, she didn't mean to fall asleep, and when she woke up, it was morning. Sarah claims the next morning she went downstairs. The suitcase was still sitting right where she had left it, and Jorge was still inside. There's no movement coming from the suitcase. Sarah unzips the suitcase and finds that Jorge is purple, cold, and stiff. And she then calls 911.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
4748 France Court, apartment 3.
Is this a police or medical?
My boyfriend is dead.
Okay, send the line for the fire department. Do not hang up.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in a case and we were playing. And like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Right, okay, what's your apartment number?
3.
I don't know.
Apartment 3?
Yes, like he has like blood coming out of his mouth, and I don't know if like he had like an aneurysm or what happened.
Right, okay, all right, okay. Listen, we're getting help out there too. All right, okay. Okay,
now?
Okay, man, listen, we're on our way out there. You're at 407-716-8684. Okay, is he hanging from somewhere or what, ma'am?
No, I pulled him out of the suitcase. I tried giving him CPR.
Okay. So he was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Okay. How old is the boyfriend, ma'am? 42-year-old male. All right. Okay. We're sending help out there. Sheriff's officer out there?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Listen to me. Okay. I just need to confirm this. All right. I understand. I just need to confirm this. Is he awake at all? Is he conscious at all?
No. He's purple.
Is he breathing?
No.
All right. I need you to get him on the floor, flat on his back for me. Okay?
I did. I tried giving him CPR.
All right.
I tried giving him CPR.
Yeah, okay.
But nothing happened. He's purple.
Okay, listen to me. There's a defibrillator available. I need you to get it for me, okay?
What is it?
You have an AED available?
No.
All right. Are you right by him now?
I'm sorry?
Are you right by him now?
Yes.
Okay. Lay him flat on his... Okay, ma'am, listen. Is he cold and stiff?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he's not necessarily cold, but he's stiff. And he's purple.
Okay. All right, listen to me. Listen to me. I want you to lay him flat on his back for me on the floor.
I did.
Removing the pillows. Okay.
Yes, I did.
All right. Okay.
He's stiff and purple.
Right. Okay. Listen. Okay, man. That's fine. We're still going to do compressions on him. Okay. All right. Place the heel of your hand on his breastbone, right in the center of the chest, right between the nipples.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Baby, I'm telling you. Just by looking at him, you can tell.
Okay.
Please. Okay, he just gurgled.
Okay. Listen to me. All right. I want you to place the heel of your hand. Okay, right between his chest, right between his breastbones.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Yes,
we want to pump his chest to me hard and fast, going to this twice per second.
Come on, please, hurry up.
Okay, ma'am, they're driving here as fast as they can. Okay, don't stop to say hurry up. Just keep on pumping and counting.
I'm still doing it while I'm talking to you, okay?
Okay. And so we're there, obviously.
All right.
Yeah, no, he's my boyfriend. Is your boyfriend? Okay. Does he have any kind of metaphors? No, not that I know of.
Sarah continues to perform CPR, or so she claims, until the police arrive. They're talking her through it, as you heard. When police went inside Sarah's house, they found Jorge's lifeless body in the suitcase. Now, that was confusing to me. That was what it said in the article I read. If she was performing CPR on him, why was he still in the suitcase? That could have been a mistake in the article, but the initial investigation quickly revealed inconsistencies in Sarah's story. There were obvious signs of trauma on Jorge's body. He was covered in scratches all over his back. And from the get-go, the cops and paramedics thought he had suffocated to death. An autopsy would later confirm that. Jorge died of asphyxiation. The cops began talking with some of Sarah's neighbors. The neighbors reported hearing a loud argument coming from Sarah's apartment the night of the death. But this was not unusual. The couple argued a lot, and the neighbors heard the arguing a lot. But on this night, the neighbors said the argument was louder than usual, it went on for longer, and it seemed to be more intense than usual. Then the cops brought Sarah in for questioning, and it only became more clear she was not only unsure of what had happened, she was trying to talk her way around it all.
This morning we went to his autopsy, and we were informed of some injuries that he has by the doctor. So so he's got scratch marks to his back.
I know what that's from.
Okay. And it's called a contusion. Do you know what a contusion is? So like basically you're getting hit and then you get a mark from it. You'll get bruising. Like someone hit you or something like that. It's called a contusion. So he had some injuries to his left shoulder. He had a cut near his lip. We could see his mouth was a little
I haven't laid a hand on him.
Okay.
Also too, he fell off my son's bike.
Okay.
So I don't know, and he's notorious for running into the wall or the hall tree.
Okay.
So
Okay. What about the scratches? Because there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's also like a scratch on the back of his neck, kind of going, but it's going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
And they're all recent. Like they occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago or 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They definitely occurred, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
That's why, the only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about, which I was going to be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is. No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over at the house, too, so...
Well, your son was there when? When was he last there?
Oh, gosh.
From my understanding, he was there, last Tuesday?
I don't know if it was Tuesday, but yes, he was there last week, so...
Well, we're talking about Sunday.
Yeah.
We're just talking about what occurred Sunday. Because, like I said, the injuries they occurred within that time period.
So you're talking about day before yesterday?
Sunday leading into Monday. You called us yesterday at 1, but the incident, you guys were painting and stuff the night prior.
Correct.
So we're talking about Sunday and then into Monday. So it goes from funny to no longer funny, but you're the only one laughing.
But I didn't think that he was, panicky.
So pushing up on a suitcase saying, Sarah, Sarah, Sarah.
I can't breathe.
George has done that in the past before, too, where it's just he thinks that he's woe is me kind of thing, where it's
He's never been locked in a suitcase. That's where he couldn't get out. So
it's I thought it was the boy crying wolf kind of thing.
Okay.
And again, my plan.
But nowhere in there is he laughing, is he joking. He is begging. And you're the only one laughing.
Okay.
And you're the only one saying derogatory comments, you're mad.
No. Please don't, I don't mean to sound negative, and I don't know if I can say this, but, it's like you guys are kind of trying to, feed me.
No, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what you said.
Well, I know what...
You know what's on that video now?
No.
You remember making that video?
No.
Why don't you remember making the video?
Probably because we had been drinking.
But you weren't drunk.
No. Just because I went upstairs and... Just because you're drunk doesn't mean that you...
times that you were not drunk. You said that you had your wits about you. You said he had his wits about you.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you don't like not having your wits. In my experience, if somebody cannot remember doing something to the extent of making 2 videos and taking a photo, they are intoxicated.
Okay. I understand where you all are coming from.
Well, we're just trying to make sense of it. We're trying to figure out what you're saying.
We're trying to figure out this video.
You explain it to us. We're listening.
I just did. We were playing, and then, I thought it was... My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. My plan was not to... He'll be up here any minute.
But you willingly went upstairs and went to sleep. No one forced you to go upstairs and get ready for bed.
My plan wasn't also to leave him in the suitcase.
So why didn't you take him out?
Because I went upstairs, and then I fell asleep.
But why didn't you consciously think, he's asking to come out, he can't
I didn't do it intentionally.
What do you think is going to happen if you leave somebody in a confined space like that?
Well, I thought by not giving it up all the way, it would be okay. My plan was not to leave him in the suitcase.
And what was your plan?
Waiting for him to come upstairs.
The police continued to bring Sarah in over and over and interview her. They also interviewed friends, neighbors, family members of both Sarah and Jorge. Remember, the cops also had that tape on Sarah's phone. I guess I should say video. I'm old. There's no tape involved anymore. They had that video on Sarah's phone that she took the night of the death with him pleading for help. She's mocking him the entire time. So it becomes quite clear, even if Sarah did go upstairs and fall asleep, she was still responsible for Jorge's death. In March of 2020, the cops got the go-ahead from the DA, and Sarah Boone was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. As the trial approached, the media picked up the story, dubbing her the Suitcase Killer. That phrase quickly captured the public's imagination, and the case became a sensational topic in news outlets and social media. I very clearly remember hearing about this story because it happened just as the pandemic was starting. I'll always remember that time, that point in time, because I was at Disneyland with my family. It was like the first week of March in 2020, and there was this crazy new, virus out that nobody knew what it was. We were spraying colloidal silver into our mouths because that was supposed to help. We were taking tons of zinc because, of the rumors that were flying around about this new mysterious thing spreading, and no one knew much about it. It was scary. And just days after we left Disneyland, the park was shut down and stayed shut down for more than a year. Sometimes I forget what we've all lived through. It was wild. But yes, I remember this story coming out at that time and thinking to myself, this has got to be one of the strangest murders in a very long time. What grown man allows himself to be zipped into a suitcase and then dies because he cannot get out? It was strange. Sarah goes through the usual hearing process, and then it was time to set a date for trial. But there was a problem. Sarah couldn't get along with her attorney, so the trial was delayed while she found a new one. She hated that attorney too. Attorney number 3 came and went. 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. 8 attorneys have been assigned to this case, and all 8 of them have quit or been asked to be released by the judge, citing the fact that Sarah is absolutely impossible to work with. She just sounds delightful, doesn't she? I think I've known a few Sarahs in my time. After the 8th attorney, the court deemed that Sarah had forfeited her right to court-appointed counsel and that she would now be forced to represent herself in court. If you become such a nuisance to the court, there are remedies the court will take to force you to proceed. But then, Sarah sent some sort of handwritten letter passed through another inmate to this man, attorney James Owens, who was a very well-respected attorney. Why he took this case on, all I can think of is it must be the publicity. But he did. James Owens agreed to represent Sarah Boone. James Owens appeared in court on September 3rd and asked the court to delay the trial until the end of the year or early next year, 2025, in order to allow him time to review the evidence and conduct depositions, hire experts, that type of thing. And the judge said, hell no. The judge said, this thing has been dragging on for 4 years and your crazy client isn't getting any more time. So the judge set the date for the trial to begin on October 7th. And then, of course, we got word that Hurricane Milton was coming through Florida, so the trial had to be delayed, but this judge was not having it for 1 minute after Milton had passed. As soon as the hurricane was over, the judge was right back on it and he said, get your butts back into court. The trial began on October 14th, just a day before I wrote this episode. On the 15th, the jury was selected. More than 100 potential jurors were questioned on the first day, and another 50 were questioned the second day.
Well, right now, jury selection in the Suitcase Murder trial is underway. Fox 35's Stephanie Buffamonte has been there all day long in court. And Stephanie, both sides now finding it pretty hard to get enough jurors for this trial.
Good evening. That is right. So 2 panels of 50 people each were brought in for jury selection today. Another 50 people will be brought in tomorrow morning, and they'll have other people on hand if need be. The tricky thing with the jury selection in this case is that this trial is expected to last 3 weeks. So a lot of people have conflicts with work, their kids, and other things like that. The other thing, this is a high-profile case, so a lot of people already know the details and may have seen evidence.
Ma'am, you told me last week that you were ready for trial. Are you ready for trial today?
I am.
Okay, all right.
Sarah Boone walked into the Orange County courtroom wearing a blue dress shirt, slacks, and jail slippers. After a week-long delay due to Hurricane Milton, jury selection for her trial began Monday. Boone sat before jurors without handcuffs. The Winter Park woman is accused of zipping her boyfriend Jorge Torres up in a suitcase during a drunken game of hide-and-seek back in 2020. Boone told deputies back then she went upstairs to her room and fell asleep, and when she woke up, she found Torres dead in the suitcase. Investigators say evidence shows she filmed her then-boyfriend inside the suitcase while he was pleading to be let out.
Sarah, for everything you've done to me, I can't Breathe, babe. Sarah, is he?
Yeah, that's when you do and you choke me.
It's evidence like this cell phone video that the state and defense would rather potential jurors to have not already seen.
Has anyone seen a video of a man in a suitcase?
There was a series of questions from Judge Michael Kranick to see if potential jurors had already seen the cell phone video, the interrogation video, and the body cam video from when deputies responded.
You zipped him in there?
Yes. He thought it would be funny to be put in the suitcase, so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you, and I'll zip you up and make him, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. But then I fell asleep.
Has anyone seen any body-worn camera videos in which Miss Boone is speaking to police? Do you have such strong feelings that you could not be a fair and impartial juror? If you have those beliefs, please raise your paddles at this time.
The Suitcase Murder story garnered significant media attention, not just for the sensational nature of the crime, but also for the broader implications that it held. Discussions surrounding domestic violence and mental health and the impact of substance abuse were brought to the forefront, and people debated the circumstances that led to this tragic events, asking a lot of the same questions that I've asked. There are people who see Sarah as a tragic figure, caught in a cycle of abuse, alcohol use, and poor decision-making. And if she was being abused, then of course I feel sorry for her. I do. But it takes a very cold-hearted person to sit and listen to someone beg for their life and do nothing but laugh and record the person begging. Being abused is not an excuse for murder. Being abused is awful. Of course it is. But why let your abuser take all your humanity from you? Why allow them to make you into the monster that they are? Now, the next paragraph of this story needs an update. I'm going to read it to you as I wrote it, but then I have news. I was going to say, so for now, you're caught up. I'm going to continue to follow the story, and I'll bring you an update as soon as the verdict comes in. I do want to mention that Sarah has been caught smirking and smiling in court at strange times and just acting very odd. Her appearance has also changed drastically in the last 4 years. She looks very small and petite in the interrogation video, and she looks like she's either put on some weight or maybe just aged 20 years in jail, which is a possibility. It's a sad story all the way around. Jorge should not have been putting his hands on Sarah, but Sarah should have just walked 4 steps over to the suitcase and pulled on the zipper. So I was going to end the episode with saying we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But then on Saturday, October 26th, the jury came back with a verdict. Now, normally juries do not continue to deliberate over the weekends, but maybe they do in Florida. Sarah Boone has been found guilty of second-degree murder in the death of Jorge. She will be sentenced on December 2nd, and she faces up to life in prison. The judge will have quite a bit of say in her sentencing. I will bring you an update when she is sentenced. But yes, she has been found guilty. I want to send love to Jorge's family. I'm sure this has been incredibly stressful for you, and I want you to know that the Dark Hearts community is very sorry for your loss. Despite the fact that it does appear Jorge was a violent abuser, Sarah did not have the right to act as executioner for those crimes. We'll have to wait and see what her future holds. Thank you for joining me today on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Please hit the like and subscribe button. If you haven't already, it helps so much with the algorithm. We're kind of on a countdown here with the YouTube channel. I've given it till the end of the year. If I don't see a large amount of growth before the end of the year, I am going to stop. So if you could drop the name of the channel in the comments on other channels or spread the word in any way you can, that would be much appreciated. You know, I have 2 podcasts. This one is called Dining with Death. It is the audio taken from the old video episodes posted here on YouTube. This is the current podcast, Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. I post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday, and there will be some podcast exclusive stories here, things you cannot hear anywhere else. Both of the podcasts are on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. I'm on Patreon. Some of you very generously give a few dollars a month to help me keep the episodes coming, and you can also be part of our fundraiser. This is the video on my channel that you can watch to learn about our fundraiser. It's just a few minutes long. It will explain to you all the things our community is doing to raise money to donate to police departments that have cold case DNA in storage that has never been tested. I hope you're enjoying spooky season. I sure appreciate your support. Stay safe, my friends, and be kind to each other. And I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Bye.